everyone. We're back for another pack-a-day with Bloomburrow Play Boosters. I believe this is number 4. Let's get into it. All right. Starting things off today with Bonebind Orator. 2 for a 2/2. It's a squirrel, and you can pay 4 and exile it from your graveyard to return another creature card from your graveyard to your hand. It's an interesting sort of synergistic tension with the other squirrels. They want to use their scavenge abilities to remove cards from your graveyard for other value. This guy wants to stay in your graveyard and remove itself for a different kind of value. Seems usable, but kind of has an interesting tension, possibly an anti-combo there sometimes. Polywallop is a good card. 4 cost, instant spell, but it costs 1 less to cast for each frog that you control. And one of your creatures gets to deal twice its power in damage to another creature that you don't control. This is really good. Obviously, because the creature itself is dealing damage, it'll trigger any abilities that care about dealing non-combat damage. Or you can use abilities like Death Touch to make this super powerful even on a creature with low power. Run Away Together. It's an instant. You cast it for 2 mana. You get to choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players and return those creatures to their owner's hands. Obviously, this is intended to boost the frogs over anybody else because they want to enter the battlefield multiple times. I think it's probably a little hard to get value outside of frogs. I would also like to see people pulling other types of value from this card in multiplayer settings where they can choose 2 different players and not have to choose themselves. All right. Tell me if I'm saying this word wrong. Pileated Provisioner. It's a 3/4 bird for 5. It has flying, of course, and when it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature that you control that does not have flying. Like I said in one of the previous videos, I think this is one of the sort of core issues with birds being, in my opinion, the sort of most obtuse build around tribe in Bloomburrow, because they require you to have non-flyers in your birds deck, and birds have flying, so you have to in all of the other 9 sort of tribal decks you can pick. If I'm building squirrels, if it has squirrel on it, it's probably going to work okay in the deck. And for birds, you have to just pick up not birds to make the birds deck work, because otherwise this just whiffs on its ETB ability, and it's just a 3/4 for flying with 5, which is a little bit low value. You can argue whether or not it's good value with the ETB, but just that sort of build around aspect just doesn't work for me with birds in the way that it does with pretty much all the other tribes in Bloomburrow. Roughshod Duo. We got another duo here, a 3/2 for 3. It's a mouse and a raccoon. It has trample. Whenever you expend 4, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and trample until the end of the turn. Couple things to note. If you don't know, expend 4 means on your turn, if you spend 4 or more mana to cast spells during a turn. So this does not track mana that was spent on not casting spells. So one of our cards earlier had an activated ability. If you paid mana for that, none of that mana would go towards tracking your expend. Of course, it doesn't work against expend. You just have to have that much more mana to be able to hit expend and also activate those those activated abilities. It's also worth noting this guy can target itself, so you can make it a 4/3. It obviously already has trample, but you can boost this dude, so his ability will not whiff even if you don't have other creatures on board. 3-Tree Mascot. Here we have an artifact creature for 2. It's a 2/1, and it's a shapeshifter with changeling, so it is every creature type. So obviously in the Bloomburrow set, where creature types are divided into 10 major tribes, this guy can theoretically fit into any of them. With this guy, you can pay 1 to add 1 mana of any color, but you can only do this once per turn. This is not really a mana dork. He's kind of a mana fixer, but it's a pretty low powered card. I think this is a pass. All right, we have Whisker Quill Scribe. This is a 2/2 for 2. It's a mouse. It has Valiant, which is the mouse's signature ability. Whenever you target it with a spell or ability that you control for the first time on each turn, you can discard a card. If you do, draw a card. It's a decent value card. I like the Valiant ability. I think it's a nice little sort of alternate of Heroic. It works for me. My first draft deck that I did in Bloomburrow was Mice, and I found it to be a really nice sort of aggro strategy. I really enjoyed it, and I've liked them ever since. Teapot Slinger. This is a really great uncommon if you are playing in red. You don't have to be playing in the red-green raccoon deck. This is just good for any deck that can cast it. It's a 3/4 with Menace for 4. That's good value by itself, but whenever you expend 4, Teapot Slinger deals 2 damage to each opponent. So you're getting extra value there on a body that's already playable in draft. Plume Creed Escort. For 2, you get a bird scout creature that has 2/1, flying, and flash, which is a nice little trick. When it enters, target creature you control gains hexproof until the end of the turn. So this is a sort of a little counter spell for your opponent's spells that are targeting your creatures. It reminds me of the nice little fairies deck from Lorwyn Block that was my, at the time, boyfriend's deck that he used when we were sort of learning to play or when he was teaching me to play Magic. So that was a nice little bit of nostalgia for me. All right, we have Flowerfoot Swordmaster. This is another mouse. For 1, you get a 1/2. You can pay an extra 2 to get a 1/1 version of this, and they will have Valiant. The first time you target it the first time you target it on any turn, mice that you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Nice, good value if you're going wide on an aggro board. All right, Night Fisher. This is a 4/5 with flying for 5. It's a bird. Whenever another Whenever another non-token bird that you control enters, create a 1/1 blue fish creature token. Now, this is the type of bird that I feel like is what the other birds should have been. Birds that care about other birds. They should be flocking together. I think it's cute that they try to do a birds helping, a flying creatures helping non-flying creatures thing. But it just doesn't work for me in a set that's all about like these creature types sort of bolstering other creatures with the same types. The birds just don't do that. This guy totally does. This would work great in a birds deck, except for all the other birds that aren't looking for other flying creatures. But I like this card on its own. All right, we got a rare card, Lunar Convocation. For black and white, you get an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained and lost life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying, and you can pay 1 and black as well as 2 life to draw a card. I love this. I am a total sucker for life gain and life drain strategies. I really like, ever since the Return to Ravnica block, the Orzhov ability that taxes your opponents. I love that. This is a sort of a pet strategy of mine, similar to like +1/+1 counters. I love those. So this card, I'm super happy to see this. I totally have some decks that I'm going to be looking to fit this into. And I like that you can, you've built your deck to gain you life on the turn, so you're going to get this top line of text, but the very bottom line of text will help you. If you've gotten the top line, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get the entire card every turn. And paying 2 life in a deck that's built around gaining you life is a pretty easy ask. All right, here we go. We got a Plains. I believe this looks like spring, maybe summer. The sky's awfully blue. Let me know which one it is in the comments. Here is our foil for the pack. This is a common. It's a bat. We haven't seen a lot of bats in these packs yet. 2/3 for 3. It's got flying, and whenever it attacks, you gain 1 life. You can see the bat deck, the black and white bat deck, is wanting to work towards those kinds of rare enchantments like I pulled. And I'm very happy to see this because, again, I love these strategies. The black and white section of my cube wants to gain a lot of life and drain your opponent, so this is going to be finding a home in there. And our last thing is a squirrel token. Just a 1/1 token squirrel, not an offspring, but you still love to see it. And the back is just a little QR code. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.